So I'm just gonna go to random spots here and maybe do a couple Jordan Peterson responses here. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
That's not the patriarchy. But the thing is that the whole concept is so ill-defined that it begars description.
But so is power, though, right? I mean,
that's punch that the excess of the right has. It's right. Well, you're for equality of outcome. Why is that bad? Well, it's bad because when you play it out in society, and there's endless evidence for this, it's an instantaneously murderous doctrine. And I think it's because it shifts so quickly into a victimizer narrative. I've had a great opportunity, in the last month and a half.
Yeah.
I got asked to write the preface to the 50th anniversary edition of Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago.
Wow.
And so I've been writing that.
Holy moly.
One of the things...
Holy moly. I mean, just that moment, because if you know Jordan Peterson, you know he's all about that Solzhenitsyn. I have not read Solzhenitsyn, so I cannot fully understand his references to Solzhenitsyn. I've seen some interesting YouTube videos of Solzhenitsyn. But anyway, Jordan Peterson, he's all about this. So him being able to write the preface for that book.
Solzhenitsyn did, which was one of the things that made that book.
Hold on, let me go back here.
Themselves from the John Birch and Ku Klux Klan types.
That's a very important point.
But the problem, but it isn't just an oppressor or someone who's oppressed. And the answer is, as the revolution progresses, if there's any dimension along which you can be categorized as oppressor, you end up dead. And so that's part of the pathology of the equality of...
So what Jordan Peterson is talking about here is that the left basically has an oppressor-oppressed language. And he's right about this. And I always want to say when I say the left, I'm referring to overwhelmingly the statist left. Some elements of the more anarchist libertarian left, but not nearly as much. But it is generally that, okay, you have these. Now, he's not couching it in the way that I'm couching it. He's couching it. Well, let's listen a little bit longer.
Oh, what do you mean by that? Like, you end up dead.
You end up rounded up. You ended up being put into the oppressor camp, right? And so,
but there's only so far you can go with that, right? I mean, you can't put all men in the oppressor camp. There'd be no men left. Like, what do you...
Well, that is exactly the sort of thing
how it plays out.
Well, it is how it plays out.
When you look for equality of outcome.
Okay, right here, when he says something like that, when he says, well, it is how it plays out. Listen, man, we don't have a clear understanding of why things happen all the time. And he steps up to this confident statement. Well, it is. No, I think that every single whatever foundation of alleged truth that your system has contained within it, there are inherent risks to that, to the myth of that foundation of truth, leading to really, really bad outcomes. And he is just basically saying that the oppressor-oppressed narrative always leads to millions upon millions dead. Now, I'm not defending oppressor-oppressed. I'm just saying there's no fucking way that Jordan Peterson knows that with any degree of certainty. There's way too many things that we don't even understand about civilization at all, especially, you know what we're really lacking? We don't have a strong, settled history, or and even less prehistory. So there's so many things that we don't know about how the various methods of human governance have emerged, and he lives in this certaintarian la la land, I would say, where he imagines that he's absolutely right. I mean, he is pointing out a what is more often than not the likely outcome that if wherever you have a system in which you have an oppressor-oppressed relationship in the society, that you will end up with millions upon dead the moment that a system like that gets access to a lot of flesh and a lot of resources. Once it gets flesh and resources, that's when it starts killing. But most of them never get flesh and resources, so they don't even last long enough. They will end up not having the power to even impose their will on their own people. So those things, they just don't last long. So you don't know. You just don't know the answer to that question, Jordan. Sorry.
It's how it played out in the Soviet Union and China. I mean, in the Soviet Union, we don't know how many people died. The reasonable estimates look like about 25 million. That's dead. That's not imprisoned. That isn't families destroyed. That's just dead. And in Mao's China, it might have approximated 100 million. That's just internal repression.
So here's the dead argument, which I'm taking a sip of coffee. Yes, it's how I do these things. So here's the dead argument. That the Maoist system, that the Leninist, which then became Stalinist system, they they killed untold millions of people. And yeah, they did. And I really don't know who killed more people, though. The Americans, the British, I don't know. I don't have a full grasp of all the nuances of history, but such as I understand it, I would say that there are a few entities which have probably raked up a considerable amount of kills as the fruit of feeding the machine that their myths of foundations of truth yielded them. So let's listen a little bit more.
And so what seems to happen, as soon as you decide that the hierarchy is unfair because there are oppressors and oppressed, then you can go after the oppressors with moral virtue. But the problem is that there's almost no limit to the number of ways that you can categorize someone as an oppressor. The category just starts to expand. Like the communist...
But he's wrong. There is a way that it's contained, and that is the reality of power. I don't know if he gets to it here or later, or if I missed it, but he talks at one point about power. He's very anti-power. He does not like the word power itself, and it's interesting to me. People who have, I'm going to say, I think that Jordan Peterson probably has a better understanding of the historical and prehistorical human biological response evidences that we have so far. He probably has a much deeper understanding of that stuff than I do, but yet he still coils at the word power. And it's power, in a way, power is a word that is, as I've described in other stuff, it's one of those word deists. It's become one of those, but it's a multivalent word deist, because it pumps up and it tears down. It does both, and it just depends on the particular strata of people who resonate with that particular word deist, be it a smiter or a blesser. So I think this is one of the places where Jordan Peterson is kind of built a wall of ghosts, and I haven't quite figured out what his ghosts are, but I think I'm narrowing them down.
Killed all the socialists. They killed all the religious people. They killed most of the students. They killed all the productive farmers. And they killed the productive farmers because they owned land and maybe a little house and a few cows. To be a successful farmer in Russia at the turn of the 20th century didn't mean you were.
Yeah, I would say that the Leninists were radical, young Marxists, I'll say, but more accurately, that a system which was built upon the realities of power that such a system creates, kind of went south. Let me listen a little bit.
Rich, right? It just meant you weren't starving. It's like they killed all those people because they were oppressors, because they had more than.
It was basically, I will say, truly selfish people. That's what I'll say. Yeah, I'm having a debate with Ty Agananda Swaraj to some degree. Not a debate, really a discussion. An exploration. That's what Ty and I do. We do exploration. We don't do debates so much. Sometimes we waver in a debate, but largely it's exploration. So we're debating self-interest versus selfish. And I'm not even wedded to the word self-interest as much as I am wedded to not having behaviors classified as selfish that I would find fundamentally flawed. Yeah, I'll just put it that way. So, the key question here is, with selfish, is narrowly defined for me as you are a rugged individualist who has no problem whatsoever directly taking action that leads to bad, coercive things happening to individuals. Yeah, that's and you can pick that apart. You can then try to define the grays, and good luck with that. I'm not interested in defining the grays. I'm interested in seeing how a combination of influences of power play off of one another to either preserve what they have, or set whatever you have towards another round of destructions or near destructions before a sudden transformation. So,
someone else.
That's how they defined it in order to get the people to rally against it.
Yes. And the definition kept slipping because, well, look, even now it's like, well, let's say we rally against the 1%, and those would be the money owners. Let's say it's like, okay, who's in that group? Well, everybody in North America is in that group.
And then they go through a long discussion about why they're in that group. And I've actually made this argument already myself to the people. They're like, you man, you're white privilege. I'm like, dude, my white privilege ain't shit next to your American privilege. Man, you fucking globalist. Man, you were like the biggest of the biggest big time oppressors. Okay? You're part of fucking Daddy America, okay? Daddy America, Daddy America without the big old America. And I was like, America! And did it a few other places, and then there was a network of Americas, and life was good. And then it wasn't. So anyway, I think I'm going to be done with this for now, but actually, I do want to answer one more point here, and this is he's getting closer to a core, but he doesn't. I think a core preference level analysis, I'll say. When he talks about the definition. Now, what he doesn't do is fully explain it out, as I've explained it a couple times already in various shows, because I repeat things, because they're bearing repeating. But what he doesn't say is that what you're really seeing here is
worldwide, yeah.
Well, but who sets the parameters, right?
It's 34.
Who sets the parameters? So he's understood how they they have word, but he doesn't fully explain what makes these words so powerful. You can set you can change the definition of a lot of words, and if the word has a really, really powerful connotation, like at the word deity level within any group, however big that or small that group is, that's a word that, man, that group is. They're never going to associate anything associated with that word with anything positive. As a matter of fact, it's very possible that anyone or anything associated with that word should be seen to be as something that is less than human. You know, an infidel of some sort, be it a religious or cultural or whatever, however you define your infidels within your own hierarchy of power, man. Yeah, stuck into my head. But he doesn't understand. Well, if he doesn't understand, maybe he says in another place. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to assume everything he says here is everything that he believes. He may have much more nuanced expressions that I haven't seen. But what I think that he's failing to go do a little deeper and realize now the first part, and this isn't always true. There are exceptions, but by and large, the first part is to create a word, or if you're going to create something whole cloth, you want to create a word, and that you very narrowly define that word, and very kind of an organic kind of process. Your team of creators ends up putting out narratives that are like, no, man, listen, man, we're not trying to get like overboard with defining who's who. We're just all agreeing that like this word means like mud case, mud fuck, right? This is mud fuck. It's like, it's not like, you look down and you're like, okay, well, that guy, man, I don't really like him, but yeah, all right, I'll talk to him. He'll probably drink a whiskey with me. All right, whatever. And then you get to this one, and this one has a name attached to it, and one of those word deities attached to them. And then you're like, that's mud, that's dirt. That's all that is. And then once you get that implanted, and you've created the frothing at the mouth over this very narrowly defined identity, which you've went along with for quite a long time. Now, what you do is you change the definition. You expand the definition. And so that label, alt-right, becomes something that people have to run away from. They have to try to fight being lopped into that name, alt-right. It is I believe that the alt-right is St. George's sword against the dragon. In their minds, that's what it is. None of these people think they're doing bad shit. Well, a few cynics probably, but by and large, they think they're fucking St. George. You're always St. George in your fucking activism, dude. Well, I'm not. I don't believe in St. George or the fucking dragon. But that's another story. I'll save it for later. Anyway, I think I'll just leave it here. I'll call this Paul Gordon. Jordan Peterson is a shill, and here's why. You know what? FYI, it's a joke. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that because yeah. And you know what? I think I might do it. Yeah. If I've done it and you've lasted this long, then you realize I've done it. And congratulations for listening to the whole video. And if I haven't done it, then know this.